Hey everyone, welcome to our first online meetup for this year. And my name is Chirag, and I started this to interact with people because when I was in India, I was meeting every Saturday a new people, trying to share and learn as much as possible on the different technology. So I want to continue the same momentum. That is why thought came in my mind that why not, start a weekly, especially on Saturdays, with a specific technology agenda, a meetup where we can talk, and I will try to cover up some question answers, whatever the queries you people will have, and I will try to share my learning also. And another thing is I am in touch with couple of people who are working in a different technologies and willing to share. So I will try to line up those kind of meetup in the coming weeks. So stay tuned. So again, thanks a lot for tuning in, and I really want to start with again the basic part. I always focus on the basic, and whatever I have learned from the infra background. This is what I am trying to share here. So just sharing a quick agenda because I would like to focus more and more on the demo-ish part and try to showcase how the EC2 and all these as per our today's agenda, and all the moving part of EC2 and how you can utilize or maximize your EC2 utilization. So here we are with these kind of topic which I will try to cover. So I will start with some basics, where and why EC2 is required, what is its value proposition, and then I will try to spin up a multiple EC2 using the AWS command line interface. I'm going to touch on spot instance as well as some information on the reserve instance and some new offering offering known as savings plan, as well as then the security, and we can start with the question and answer session. So I'm going to share my EC2 console because I don't want too much of, even I'm personally not too much fond of uh, presentation. So let's come down to the EC2. If you everyone have this, sign up for the console, so it will look like this, and I will start sharing the information about where the benefit or what is the EC2. So cloud comes with the foundation of virtualization. So virtualization plays a major role in any cloud service, right? So EC2 is one of the earlier services offered by Amazon Web Services back in 2006, and which is really growing well. And if you compare it with last 10 years, you will see the tremendous amount of improvement, lot of enhancement, lot of offering, lot of performance wise, security posture, everything is covered very well. So another thing is EC2 is like an infrastructure as a service, which is a you can say the lowest level, or you can say from the bottom it's just a starting of any cloud platform, or normally it is known as a, or you can compare it with as a VPS. Back in the days of 2006-7 when they offered, it was a completely VPS. We will not have that much of control on networking, on any part of performance. It was a predefined or pre-made thing, but as the things are moving, lot of improvisation happen, and now it become itself a big giant area of study, of branch of study, I can say. Even I am exploring about EC2 from last I can say from 2015. I am exploring it. I am seeing a lot of changes, lot of new concepts also got clarified, and things are getting every year enhancing. Another big picture, this is the actual revenue driver for any cloud platform. I am not only talking in the favor of AWS, but if you see the picture of other cloud platform, you will know wherever the infrastructure, it is the biggest revenue driver. So you can't ignore this because of just SaaS platform, or platform as a services, or predefined things are available. It is something like 70-30 ratio, you can say. 30% can be fulfilled by the platform as a services offering, but when it come down to the customization, the control, then the infrastructure is required, because any enterprise, any workload, they want a control from their side. They do right from the compliance perspective, from the security, from their people and process, whatever they have already set up in their on premises data center. So they are looking to have a control of same kind. There comes the infrastructure as a service. So I always suggest that don't ignore, even if you are going to learn or start your cloud journey, this is the most important driver, or again you can say the fundamental and the basics are covered here. If you understand this part at a good level, then stepping up will be easy. Then you will know. Even like giving you a simple example, let's say any services which are running and exposed only via API, or all these managed services underneath somehow, or they are using this infrastructure. So if you know this infrastructure, then it will be easy for you to understand that service, maybe some kind of performance, maybe some kind of, if you say, how you can uh, remediate the error. All these things can be clarified from this kind of basic knowledge. So I am always exploring from that layer, and I am still learning. And as the lot of new enhancements are coming from even the virtualization layer, which I am going to talk in maybe few minutes. So try to learn, try to understand, try to maybe play, lot of again enhancements, lot of flexibility. So make your mindset like that, right? So coming back to now EC2 part, it started with, it is the part of infrastructure as a service offering, and which is the abstraction layer from the hardware to the virtual world. Because coming back from the history, let's say from the 2-3 decades back, right, whenever you need to buy a hardware, or any enterprise need to host their new application, they need to go through the procurement cycle, which is bit lengthy. Typically it is called as 6 to 8 week cycle, from choosing the vendor, getting a quotation, finalizing negotiation, providing the order, then delivery will happen, and all those hardware setup in your data center, which need to be under a proper area, cooling, all those things to need to be managed, and then installation of operating system, all these things, and then application installation come into picture, and then it get ready to use. So it's a typically 6 to 8 week cycle, which is industry known, and you can figure it out from your R&D, right? Then one day, or you can say one night, suddenly VMware or these player came into picture with a virtualization, which is mind boggling, and a boom happened, and everyone start talking about virtualization. I believe it was back in I don't know the exact date, maybe in 2004-5, that era. Then people, everyone is talking about virtualization, because what it is providing you to maximize your hardware utilization. So giving you example, we have the hardware, we have installed maybe only few apps on a single operating system, but still it is not utilizing the 100%, because you have already invested a hardware, and the hardware is delivered and set up in your data center, but you are not utilizing it at that scale whatever it is capable of. So virtualization is giving the capability to emulate, or a layer which will be on the top of your hardware, which will talk with your hardware to pull out the resources in an isolated manner. So there it play a major role. Then now it is something like you can have multiple operating system installed on the same hardware on the top of your virtualization layer. And virtualization layer is your, you can say, control plane, which is going to talk with your hardware to pull out the resources and provide it to use. So this is how the virtualization work, and this become you can say the standard for any VPS. VPS in the world of from the last 10 years. We heard VPS, all those hosting providers are offering, and nowadays even we are seeing it is there, and then slowly it is starting capturing its market, and it is becoming into the mainstream. Then the cloud come into picture, which is giving at a larger scale in a different pricing model, which is I can say flexible pricing model, not long term contract agreement or lock in, and then giving the flexibility to play with your nitty gritty parts which is required to build your infrastructure. So there comes this EC2 part, which is known as Elastic Compute Cloud, and it is, you can say, still the first choice for any enterprise to explore about cloud. Personally, I'm saying it from my experience. Whenever it's a discussion, in any discussion, in every discussion, this will come that we will go with the infra first rather than trying with a different service, because of they would like to understand and take a feel of cloud and flexibility, all the security, networking, nitty gritty stuff. There come into the EC2. So EC2 was using the previously it was, or still in the previous generation instances, it is using Zen hypervisor, right? And when it is in back in 2017 reinvent, they released a series named C5 and R5 and M5. So which is using their own customized hardware, oh sorry, hypervisor, and they call it as a Nitro system. You can search about it. That is itself a beautiful stuff. If you love to play with hardware, if you know about all these Intel processors and how the virtualization work, please explore. There are a lot of informational and useful webinars available on YouTube, so you can try to learn about how their Nitro system is different from the Zen hypervisor, and how they are providing the more and more performance. Even if you are going spin up in your console, you will be able to see the information, the networking part. Previously maybe some instance only support 10 gigabit, but nowadays 100 gigabit instances are available. So think from that angle, that how it is getting improved and we are getting more and more performance, and how time to complete a work is getting lower and lower. This is a benefit it is giving, right? So let's go to the console. I am just giving you the walkthrough to create a one single instance, and then maybe we will talk more about all the moving part of this instance, right? So I am in my console now. So here I am going to first select the EC2, right? I will talk about most of these options while going forward. I am just not going to create an instance in few seconds. I will take some time, try to explain, and in between, if you have some question, feel free to drop somewhere in your comment section, so that I will know that what queries you are facing, and I will try to answer, right? So I'm just, this is a simple workflow, and for the new the first timers, so you can see there are multiple places from where you can start. It's a launch instance here, or you can click on this instance and you will see this kind of console. So this is a account I created few weeks ago. I tried and played, and but yeah, I terminated all those instances. So here I'm just going to click on launch instance. So now you will see there are 7 steps we need to follow. Actually 6, 7th is a review step, right? So here the first step is we need to choose the operating system. So these are the pre-made and pre-bundled operating system. Now try to understand, back in 10 years back, we people used to have operating system in our CD, or like Windows XP. Windows XP, I remember that I got a CD when I purchased my new system. So that CD I need to always take care that whenever if my Windows is going to corrupt, I can repair, or reinstall the fresh operating system on my system. So this is how, just take, these are the operating system offerings by AWS, and it is a regional basis. Important part is where you are going to spin up, you need to first select the region. I am in Singapore, so this is the nearest region to me. You can select wherever you are, right? So understand these are the operating systems. Some operating system is even installed with some specific feature. Even you can see that Microsoft Windows Server, this included SQL Server 2017 standard. So if you ever installed in your system, you know how, it is a time taking job that you need to perform, and you need to follow the step, and if any step missing, you need to repair all those things, you need to play, and it will take maybe couple of hours, maybe a day also, if there is some kind of error or any files missing or all these things. But here, within a few minutes, you will get everything installed. Important thing is, you are not going to buy the license separately, you are not going to have any kind of long term contract. There is a feature which is known as reserve instance or saving plan, we will talk later, but try to understand the for the first timer or from the basics. So these are just a basic, predefined. Everything is available for you, which you need to choose and which you can spin up. So you can see they are offering Ubuntu, Red Hat, and Amazon Linux is their own customized Linux, which is the fork of, you can say, a Red Hat or CentOS, because it is using the Yum package manager. And Windows operating system is there. OpenSUSE is also there. If you know about the OpenSUSE, and if you are into the SAP world, so this is one of the famous choice of operating system for SAP people. And some kind of deep learning AMIs which is already installed these packages. And if you are into the ML, surely you are going to love. If you know about the data science and data engineering, feel free to teach me also, because I am always trying to learn. I spin up, but after spinning up, I am really nowhere that what I need to do. I really have no idea, so I terminate. Right. So this is the first step as an operating system. This is the predefined or populated by AWS in their offering, and they all have their unique identifier. If you are going to play it in a with a programmatic method, right, or using CLI, this is a unique identifier which is respective to the its image or this operating system, as well as this is a regional. Every region have, let's say, this Amazon Linux AMI is available in every available region on for AWS, but this will be surely this will be unique. So for the Singapore, it is ending with A21. Maybe for some other region, let's even try quickly. For the Northern Virginia, it may be different one. So if you are going to play or going to use SDKs or any other thing, you will get an idea. So here you can see this is the ID. It is ending with 504. Previously it was something A21 something, right? So let's go back to our region where I am going to spin up the things. So this is the predefined, and now in the next, you can explore it one by one, right? It is not that we need to quickly create, because we are not going to build any application today, and it's not that business is asking to give us a delivery as soon as possible, right? So we are into the learning, learning form. So let's explore. So my AMI is, you can bring your own operating system also. Let's say you are running some hypervisor or Hyper-V, as well as the VMware environment in your on premises, and you want to use that operating system. You don't want that you will install these operating system and you need to install every application, but you want to bring, there are some catch there. You can refer to the documentation, but you can bring your own operating system, as well as if you take a snapshot, you can create after, let's say, installing the application. You want to use it for the long term, or if you want to share it with, let's say, your development team or your some testing team, right? So and they want to create a different instance out of this image, so we can take a backup or snapshot, and it is called as the AMI Amazon machine image, that will show under this category. And then coming to this marketplace is a, you can say, centralized location where the third party softwares are available for use. Again, they have a different mechanism. Some this software will require to bring your own license, and some software will include the license. It will show you the fees that this will the software charge, and plus this will be the infrastructure charges. So you can see the different category and offering. And this is a community AMI. Let's say I have built something and I would like to share with the community, so I need to follow some process to make it a public, to make a publish. There is all those testing, so that there will be no kind of vulnerability on my image, and Amazon will then publish it here, and then we can search and we can use it, right? We will explore this because there is a one beautiful thing I would like to cover using this community AMI. Let's go to our spinning up the instance. So I am going to use this Ubuntu. Okay, and here you can see it is now offering 64-bit for x86 and also ARM processors, right? Previously in maybe some older images you will be able to see 32-bit. I'm not sure whether they have removed or still offering, but it was there, I remember. So they are providing 32-bit operating system also. So I'm going to use this vanilla or bare minimum, nothing. It is only operating system, no packages, no software is installed. So I'm going to select this. Now coming to, this is the important part. This is about the sizing. This is what your virtual machine will look like. Important key points to note here: vCPU is not the same CPU which you have physically. It is, you can say, one of the fraction or portion of the actual CPU, right? But due to nowadays too much enhancement, or this continuous enhancement from the hypervisor, things are getting improved and you are getting maybe near physical hardware kind of performances. But in the real world you always need to know there is a huge difference between the CPU and vCPU. It is clearly mentioned it's vCPU, not a CPU, right? So simply one vCPU, you can take it as a single core of a processor, right? And more precisely, hyper-threaded core of a processor, right? So hyper-threading comes into when the multi-threading or more performance is required, and your application need to talk with processor in with the multiple threading or concurrency and all these things. If you really interested, you can explore about all these microprocessor and how the CPU and all this processor works. You will get a lot of idea. So just always remember, vCPU is a core, not an actual physical processor. It's a core from that physical CPU, and one vCPU is a hyper-threaded core from that physical CPU, right? And it is giving this 1 GB. Okay, this is always a confusing, even I also got confused, right? So we normally call it a gigabyte, GBs, right? But if you follow the documentation, it's GB, right? So this is the amount of RAM, this is amount of vCPU, and this is type. So now there are various different type. It is maybe near about 150 to 200 approx. So different sizes, different SKUs, different different workload specific. General purpose is a mix match, you can say, for the web services or websites. Compute optimized, where you will see that it is the ratio of the vCPU CPU with respect to the RAM, and CPU is more performant than RAM. And in the memory optimized, you can see the ratio is something like the vCPU is lesser and the RAM is higher. So they are providing in a different way. So M5. So how to read this? Okay, let me demystify this for you. So T is the instance, you can say, class, right? 2 means the generation, micro is the size. It is something that you need to remember, or you need to understand, that T is the instance family or type or class. 2 is the generation, the number beside that is a generation, and large, medium, extra large is the size or the t-shirt size they are saying they are following. According to that, they have the ratio of vCPU is to RAM, right? So Here I believe the biggest one right now, it's available 4 terabyte. There are more bigger sizes that, but that is on the specific purpose and request, because if let's say mistakenly we have spent up, that is an expensive one, so your bill can be very huge. So you need to always make sure what your purpose to spinning up, right? So here if I am going to some X series, let's see. So here you can see it's a 2 terabyte of RAM is here, and more on that. Again, depend upon the regions also. Not every instance type is available in every region, but a more common one is always available, but again specific to the workload, not every region supports every instance type. So here you can see 120 vCPU with the near about 4 terabyte of RAM, and it is having 25 gigabyte of network bandwidth. So all those things are here. We are going to stick with this one smaller one, right? So I'm going to click on the next step. This is configure instance detail. This is the the page where you will see the most of the options, and this options defined the nature of your instance, apart regardless of apart from the sizing, but how it is going to place, whether it will have a public connectivity or not, right? Everything will be set up here, and let's explore this. So if I want to spin up, let's say I want to, in a single request, I want to spin up the 10 instance, that I can do here. So it will take my Ubuntu operating system, which I selected in step 1. In select 2, it will take my T2 micro, that SKU or configuration of that virtual machine. And in step 3, I just said that I want 10 instances of that, right? But right now I don't want 10. I am just sticking with the 1. And purchasing option we will cover in couple of minutes. So it is something like, just try to understand from that AWS, some, okay, at the end it is running in some actual physical hardware, right? So AWS already pre-built all those data center and available a capacity for us to use. So they make their virtualization. On the top of that, everything is exposed via the API. So cloud is API driven. Underneath, whatever even I am selecting from the console, the API calls are happening, right? So they have made, giving you example of, let's say they have a 10,000 vCPU for T2 micro. Let's say it's a just, I'm taking a number. I don't know the exact number. Maybe it will be in some hundred thousands, or maybe I don't know, right? Giving you a simplifying version of, let's say they have a 10,000 vCPU available, and at any given point of time, 7,000 vCPUs are getting consumed by the various or different their customer. But AWS has to run their data center 24/7, all those things. So for those 3,000, for the cooling, for the electricity, bill are still coming to AWS, right? But they are not getting benefited, because people are not using. Simply try to now understand. So that 3,000 is a spare capacity. So what AWS is coming with the model of, called as a spot instance, that you can pay us maybe 80% lesser from the actual price of that instance per hour, and we can give you that capacity as long as it is not required by the customer who want to pay a full price or full loaded price of its for it hours, right? So understand that I am a $1 paying customer for per hour for this instance, again example, right? But you are paying that, you got maybe let's say 1,000 core from the 3,000 pool, you got the 1,000 core, and you are paying 20 cent per hour. I am paying the same instance $1 per hour, but it is a on demand. There is, it is from the long run, until unless I have not terminate, right? And you are paying 20 cent for the 1,000 cores, for that is from the spare capacity. Now suddenly some spike came, lot of customers want the same instances, and at the price of $1 per hour, like it's an on-demand model, right? So Amazon will give you alert of 2 minutes that now this spare capacity we required back in our pool because the customer demand is getting high. So we have give you already 80% benefit for so and so forth. Maybe it can be for few minutes to few hours. There are itself a big this is now a big topic and a big study, I can say, the spot instances. But I'm trying to clarify or simplifying things that you will get, and you can enjoy in instances until unless it is not required by the AWS customer who is willing to pay the full amount, right? So we are not going to spend it in the spot instance. Another one, next option is the network. So network here again, network is again it's a software defined virtualization isolated network, because it's a shared tendency as a cloud. Everything is software defined, exposed via the APIs. So they are providing this, that you can create your own network, you can define your own subnet routing, how the internal one service or one layer will talk with the another layer, and how it will get exposed to internet, or if it is any hybrid connectivity, how it will get connected with a VPN, or all these mechanisms are there. So I have already pre-made VPC, and I just call it as a DC on cloud. It is having a two public subnet and two private subnet. Maybe a VPC deep dive we can cover in the later meetup. So I'm just going to select the public one. I'm just going to select this Southeast Asia 1B. It's a availability zone. If you understand, the top hierarchy is a region. Underneath region, it's at the multiple availability zone. Every region previously it was minimum two, but nowadays it's minimum three. Whenever AWS is coming with a new region, it will have a minimum three availability zone, and one availability zone can be a cluster of data center, cluster of multiple physical locations, right? But that is not directly exposed to us. We have the access to see the availability zone. So I'm going to select that. I have already created slash, okay, this is a slash 24 subnet, and these four, okay. So four IPs are reserved due to their own purposes, or I believe it's five, not four. Five IPs are reserved for the uh, for the Amazon purpose, like DNS, DHCP, broadcast, network, and gateway, all those things. And then I want to assign the public IP. Here you can choose, like, if you don't want, if you even if you publish this in the public subnet, but if you don't assign a public IP, it will not reachable via internet. You can assign even IP later. You can create a static IP which is called as elastic IP in AWS world. So you can assign that. I'm just going to enable this. If I want, I can enable or assign the IPv6. Right now I'm just leaving it as a enable. So another option is placement group. So if you are into the world of high performance computing, or you do a lot of calculation, and you need a grid computing or the clustered computing, where a lot of instances need to work towards a single goal, there it comes. Because again, it's a shared tenancy. It may happen your one instances reside on a single host, and as the data centers are very big, so the another instance can be sits on some far away physical host in the even same availability zone. So maybe a chances of congestion or the network latency. So if you want, you need to specify here that you want your placement of the instances on the same physical hardware. So again, it is having now a multiple different option. Previously it was only a single, like your all the instances whatever you defined will be reside on the single physical host, but now it's spread to the multiple availability zone. It is now clustered, partition, and spread. So different options are there right now, because our instance is not eligible, I can say, because of it's a very small instance, as this is a T2 micro. So we will not get benefit, right? So capacity reservation is something that if you want that, you know because it's an on demand model, it may happen some customer needs suddenly a huge capacity, and whenever you are going to spin up, you can get a capacity error. It is possible. It is, even I saw personally in some time it happen, right? Because of, again, it's a demand versus supply. Amazon also need to, continuously building the hardware and putting, infrastructure and make it available. So they are doing everything for us rather than we need to go through that, buying the hardware life cycle, right? So capacity reservation is like, I want that it's a open, whatever it's a available, give it to me, right? If I don't want none, it may happen that, you know I will not get. So simply you can say, if I build the capacity reservation, I can define at least in some kind of schedule I need the, I'm just, you can say, alerting the Amazon that for, let's say, from today or tomorrow 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., something, some traffic is going to happen on my web platform, so I need some, capacity. But again, there is no guarantee. Amazon will always try their best to, uh, provide the capacity. But yes, so there is some, this kind of option is there. So IAM role is something like service principal or service role. Let's say when your one service want to talk with your another service, and you want with the proper authentication, authorization, all those things you need to follow, right? And you don't want that it will take some kind of public route. All those things are here, right? So even not exactly the public route, that comes with the networking concept, but you can say that you don't want to put any API keys on your, instance, but you want that your instance will be able to talk with some other service which may be the part of VPC or non VPC resources like Dynamo DB, S3, and all these, right? So there you can assign the least, following the principle of least privileges. You can create that your JSON document, and which will become the IAM role, and you can attach that policy, and then you can attach that role to this instance, so that this instance will able to talk, right? So now shutdown behavior is like how I want. If I want to, shut down from, let's say, from the internally operating system, how it will behave, or okay, so whether it will stop or it will terminate, or even from the console, if I click on stop, so it will be in the stop state. So in the stop state, your ephemeral IP, because here we are not selecting the static IP, it is the ephemeral IP, which is, assigned from the pool of available IPs on this platform, right? So you will get, so once you will stop, it will get released, but you will get charged for the storage, underlying storage. Storage is the next step we will cover. Okay, so here I am just saying I will go with the stop state. Now termination policy, it is just you can say flexible method. Maybe if you are having 10 different running instance, and mistakenly if you don't follow some tagging strategy or naming strategy, it may happen that accidentally I deleted this, this instance which is actually running my mission critical workload. So this is a beautiful option. So it will give an error, or it will not grayed out that delete options. So you can select it again free of cost. So this is the flexibility. Monitoring is by default, it is giving some metrics related to the network bytes, CPU utilization, all those things. But if you want more detailed, okay, by default it is giving at a 5 minute interval. But if you want a 1 minute interval, then you can go and select with the, detailed monitoring. It comes with the some cost, right? And now coming to the another important part, tenancy. As this is a cloud and virtual machine, so share tenancies by default. So it means there is a one, again taking some number example, random number example, a one physical machine having, let's say, some hundreds of GB of RAM, and a physical core which is having a huge physical processor which is having a huge number of cores, right? And on the top of that, the virtualization sits, and Amazon is providing its, this orchestration layer to build. So on the single hardware, in the isolated manner, multiple different customer and different account, AWS account, can, you know start their instances on the same physical hardware. So this is the shared tenancy. But if there is some kind of compliance and or if you want that only that physical host will be fully utilized or used by you, you can select that, but it comes with its own sweet cost. So make sure, check some documentation, check the other requirement which you need to fulfill to use all these things. And then coming to this important part, T2, T3 unlimited, because we selected the T2 micro, so it has its own property that it's a burstable instance type. So it is something like you will get a 10% of actual core. Just giving an example of maybe a T2, I don't know, there is a 5% or 10%, somewhere like 10%, right? So it is giving you the 10% maximum power of that core, right? But if my workload is spiky, I know that maybe 20 out of 24 hours, 23 hours, it's maybe less than 2%, 5%, or somewhere, or less than 10%. But for 1 hour I need to have maybe a full capacity, maybe 100% a core required. So they giving the option, you can use this, it comes with the cost. Apart from that, there is some kind of credit system in this. The more ideal your CPU, every hour you will earn some credit, which is the equivalent of per minute. Let's say for, I believe, T2 micro per hour credit is 6. So it means for the 6 minute, let's say suddenly a spiky load come into picture, so your CPU can burst to the its 100% capacity or its core capacity for 6 minutes. After that, again, it will be get down maximum of 10%. So something, it's a math is involved, so you can explore it as a beautiful way. It is another, because one of the cheapest instance types available, so you can explore and you can plan that how it is getting you know be fitted in your workload, right? And now next option is file system. I believe this is recently they have released. Previously this option was not there. So file system, it is, you can say, NFS share. So if you want to connect it somewhere, so here you can do. I'm not going to touch today because I have not explored this till date, right? So network interface, that again, an instance can attach multiple network, or you can say network card. Is in this case it's a virtual network card, right? And each network card also can attach multiple private and public IP. So try to understand, it may happen that some kind of scenario you need to use. So a single instance, depend upon the what kind of type we are going to use, it can attach multiple card, and each card can have multiple public and private IPs, right? So important feature for the networking people are, again, depend upon your application architecture, right? Now this is the advanced detail. Here we can do some kind of startup script. Let's say, because I selected a bare a vanilla instance, I want that my instance, even before I logged in, or SSH or RDP in case of Windows, if it is some specific packages are installed, it will be helpful. So giving example of, let's say I have my code hosted on the GitHub repository, and I want to pull it, and it will be readily available once I log in, or even I can pass a proper shell script which will be helpful in a way to install all those things, and our application can be up and ready. So I'm just giving an example of, like, let's say if we want that to run something on this instance, right? So I'm just giving this, and I want to install Nginx when the instance is ready, right? So I just write this shell script. This is the important part, this is you really need to write. And then after that, app get update, right? Because this need to be installed before we enter into system. So I am just saying accepted. Minus y is a, like, because it will ask for the update, we need to manually enter, because as we are not going to log in, so I just giving this parameter, that minus y. So let's see whether this work or not. For me it happened like 90 out of 100 it will not work. Somehow I missed the thing. So let's see, right? So these are the important options which will decide or design your infrastructure. So here it is asking for the storage. By default, minimum 8 GB is required, and it can be to go up to 64 TB byte also, depend upon again the instance size. I'm okay with 8 GB, and previously by default you can't encrypt on the fly, but now they are giving the option that we can encrypt on the fly. So if you know about KMS, or if you heard about key management system, it is a key ring system in which you can create a key ring which can hold your encryption keys and data keys, all these things. It is again itself a big study which is covered in the security specialty exam in a very well manner, right? So you can explore it. By default, this key, it is managed, I can say, or yeah, fully managed by AWS, as it is identified by AWS hyphen for EBS, because I'm creating it from this EBS tab. That is why by default it is taking a name, right? So I am going to use this, but I will not have a control on its key rotation. Key rotation is something like I want to change some kind of their encryption material, all those base 64 encoded stuff, right? This will be fully taken care by AWS, and they will rotate it every 3 years, something like that. You can explore more in the documentation. Important option: if I want to delete this instance, but I want to retain the hard disk, simply it is take it as a hard disk. It is not the actual hard disk which is on the physical host. It is, let's say, a different storage area connected via the network to this physical host, to the network. Again, that is where the VPC come into picture, the isolation, all those mechanism, right? So I am going to select with this delete, because I am not going to use this instance for the longer term. So I'm happy with that. So IOPS is input output operation. It depends upon what kind of volume we are going to use. By default, it's SSD, general purpose SSD, but multiple other options are available. Provisioned IOP for the high performance magnetic is the standard hard disk. And apart from that, there are two different uh, options available, but that can't be a root. Like root means where your operating system will reside, right? You can explore here more, or installing, and here you will be able to see the other different options. Just excuse me for a minute, I'm a bit thirsty. So you can explore. This is comes with its own specific use case. I'm not going to connect any extra hard disk, so I'm okay with that. So again, tagging is very important for a bigger scale. If you want to use a cost explorer, and if you want to calculate any application cost, uh, and if you have a different stack. So I'm just giving a random name of environment is Meetup. Okay. Now, this is the important part from the security angle. This is software defined stateful firewall, right? And this is at the NIC, that network card level, right? This security group will attach to the network card of instance, right? Whether this is a virtual card, everything here is a virtual, but everything is software defined. But this is important. This will give us the capability to connect to our instance in a different way, whether it is a web server support 80, or only you want some SSH. So uh, it is giving us that opportunity. So I have created a one group here, and I just assign some some ports. Like I want for IPv4 and IPv6, my port 80 as well as port 22 will open, and this one is itself for the internal, right? So we can explore about the networking in our any VPC meetup. So you can add SSH, or you can create a new one. Let's say, let me create something new here. So I'm just giving you example: Meetup security group, Meetup security group, and I want to add port this port 22, because I want to SSH also. And as I installed some Nginx package, I want to see from port 80. So it is taking. I am just opening it for everyone. So I'm just clicking, and this is the last step where it is giving a review from the step one. We have selected this. This is instant type. All those things are here. Now another, by default, the password, using a password or login using a password is disabled. So you are asked to create a key pair. So public key will reside in AWS platform in your account, and private key you will download. Or even this is possible, you can create public private key your own system, and you can upload your public key to the AWS, and private key will reside with you. So you can create it via here. Just give a name. I have already created. So my key name is DC on cloud. I have already downloaded it. Is in my system. So I'm just acknowledging and just clicking on the launch instance. So in few seconds, in less than minute, you will be able to see our instance will be up and running. Now coming to, because see, try to understand this status check fundamentals. Right now we have requested to create an instance. So as it's a software defined call, so it will find, our API call will find some physical host which will able to host our this T2 micro. So the status check is a two different type. One is a system check, mean the physical host is, you can say ready, or physical host is healthy, and then from the physical host to the hypervisor will check whether the hypervisor, whatever that orchestration layer, will be able to reach our instance, right? So this is the meaning of these two. It may happen that your physical host is healthy, but due to, if you mess up with any kind of operating system configuration, so your instance check can fail. So in that kind of scenario, you will get an idea how you need to troubleshoot. Or if the physical host failed, you can stop and start again, and the chances are it will change its physical host location, right? That is where the storage part come into picture, because if the storage, physical storage is attached, right, so it is not possible that hard drive will fly from the one physical place to another. So storage is separated or different centralized location in the secure proper mechanism by following all the industries compliances and security mechanism. So that is where the beauty of this EBS volume or separation or distributed things are coming, so that if any one thing fail, it will not impact the other things, right? So another thing here I would like to quickly talk about. So physical storage is also there, so that come with the specific instance type. It may happen that you need some temporary storage, and physical storage is much faster than this network network attached storage, right? So in that scenario, it is there. That is where I told that in the community AMI, I will just talk. Let's, this instance need to be spin up. Why it is taking time? Because I have run one script in step 3. Let's see whether that is running or not. It is not publishing the logs right now, but once the instance will be up, we will be able to see. And here we can see it's 2 by 2. So here system is reachable and instance is also reachable, and we have our public IP also. Let me see if the demo work here. Hey, yeah, voila. So we have ran the script, we have installed the nginx, and here you can see without even sshing into this system, I am able to see my web server is working fine, right? So let me see if it is published the log here or not. Still not. It will take time, and from here we will be able to see that uh, uh, that how this installation package work, right? So meanwhile we can explore. These are the, these are the metrics by default, because we have not selected for the detailed monitoring. So we can maximum go to, right now it is only showing the 1 hour, but it will we will able to filter by from the last 5 minutes also. So we need to wait so that some data will be populated, or we can maybe put some load, and let's see if that is if that is possible. Meanwhile, let me see that how I can show that the display of my Nginx. So here is Nginx. Here you are able to see that the Nginx is working, right? So Nginx is working, and I can even, yeah, just remember, because I am not able to present the both screen in a single way, I need to change and then reselect. I need to explore this streaming platform also more, right? So you can see I'm just putting some request, clicking, and maybe from your side, meanwhile it's a live instance, you can go to this IP 18.141.137.172. You will be able to see this, welcome to Nginx. So I'm just going to change my display to my console so that I can show